What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Salud Cabrones podcast. I am Danny Villegas.
And I'm still Javier Ledesma.
And before we get started, we want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, the Law Office of Christopher Huff and a Taco Villa in Villa Park. Big shout out to Chris and Bear Mysterio. Appreciate y'all, fellas. And we asked you guys comment, like, subscribe, and share the Salud Cabrones podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And follow us on all social media platforms at Salud Cabrones podcast. Javier, I already know what you're going to say, but fuck you, because we got a very special guest with us today.
Is that turning out to be like the new intro?
Yeah, bro.
I don't know what you're going to say, but fuck you.
That's it, bro.
Man, how come I got to get fucked all of a sudden?
Come on. I just need an excuse to say fuck you, all right? So fuck you.
Now this motherfucker.
Man. But no, man, we got a very special one today, man. I look at this guy like a mentor to me, bro. When I broke into the acting industry like 10, 11 years ago. No mames, güey, no seas culero. No, he was one of the first guys I met on set, and dude, when I first met him, he already had so many fucking credits under his belt, and we exchanged numbers, and we've kept in touch since then. He's always been there to answer the phone calls, answer the text messages whenever I had questions, comments, concerns. He's always been there to answer, lead me in the right direction, man. And I'm grateful to this, for this guy to this day, bro. And dude, he's fucking phenomenal fucking actor, bro. We've seen him on 61st Street, The Chi, Empire, Chicago PD, Shameless, Dark Matter, Soundtrack, Batman vs. Superman, Stone, Teacher, All Things Fall Apart, Cleveland Abduction, The Beast, and we all know him as Che on Power Book Force. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Sammy Publes.
Put your hands together in the clapping motions. Confetti flying and
That's
everything.
it.
They can't see that or hear that, but it's confetti all over the place.
That's what we need, man. Little confetti cannons when we pop. Now that we're on camera, bro, people need to see that.
That's
kind of
it,
shit.
bro.
You got to save that for the real special guest. When that day comes, you got to...
That's you, bro. Had to pop it right there, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you for all the kind words.
Yes, bro. Thank you for coming out, man. We've been waiting to do this, man. So excited for it. Appreciate you, man.
It's a blessing, man. It's like I told you guys, too. I've been watching you guys develop, so I'm happy, proud of you guys. You know, I'm glad we connected so many years ago.
Yes, sir.
And the main thing was your humility, you know, and your ego aside. You just say, hey, man, I got some questions. What do you do? And a lot of times you don't find people like that. So that struck a chord with me. So it's been a pleasure, you know, knowing you all these years and being able to talk to you.
No, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you, man. Yes, and you're actually in town for a play that you wrote.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, man.
Yeah, man. Chicago Lores. It's going to premiere on September 27th at Urban Theater here in Chicago in Humboldt Park, under the beautiful direction of Miranda Gonzalez, and then also starring a friend of mine, Ivan Vega, who's also one of the executive directors at the theater. Yeah, man, it's a labor of love. Just to go back to like when it all started, you know, I started the project in 2018, and now 6 years later is actually going on stage.
Wow, is that when you first wrote it? 6 years ago?
Yeah. And it was, I mean, I think I have like 13 versions of it. So one of the versions that I wrote back then was due to the fact that I have met Cha-Cha, who's the leader of one of the leaders. There were 6 founders of the Young Lords here in Chicago, and he was living in Grand Rapids. And so being the Grand Rapids, Michigan, is a very small town, you know, the only other Latino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yo, I know a Latino.
Is that guy brown over there? Yes, he is. We're going to be friends.
The Chacha's very like fair skinned. He looks very, you know, white passing. So, but, you know, you can definitely tell that he's Puerto Rican when he speaks. So he knew some leaders in the theater community there. And they had the 50th anniversary coming up at DePaul. When they took over McCormick way back in 1968, after the death of Manuel Ramos, who's a brother of the organization, who was murdered by the Chicago Police Department. So they took over that, and then from there they took over like a church, and you know they implemented community programs, lead testing in the community, sickle cell stuff, daycare centers, giveaway turkeys, all of that. But anyways, in 2018 they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the takeover. And so he wanted me to write something for him, and I wrote something very like straightforward. I think I'm a pretty good researcher, so I just put like a kind of like a research paper. But it was a performance piece because that's my background, obviously, with the acting. And I was able to do it through my company, Mixed Roots Collective. And yeah, man, I was able to finance it and thankfully put some people, you know, to work. and not only that, but catalog this great story of this group that is not really talked about in American history, and hopefully give the young generation an example to see, you know, this is what our ancestors were doing. You can do that too, and you're seeing it a lot in society nowadays with protests and things like that. But so yeah, I wrote that 6 years ago. Then it went away. I performed it a couple more times, and then Miranda Gonzalez from Urban Theater saw it, and she was like, "Hey, I think this could be like something more." And I'm like, "Nah, whatever." And she hit me back a couple months later. Was like, "Look, I got some grants that I want to throw your way, and I want you to really just focus on just writing this." And so for the last 2 years almost, I've been coming to Chicago. I would come, you know, for like a whole week, set up at an Airbnb and just write. Mm-hmm. And then give it to them, you know, they look it over, and come back and I write some more. And so this is the culmination of that process, you know, of 2+ years. And I'm so thankful for Urban Theater for believing in the vision, believing in me as a writer. Because prior to that, I hadn't never really written a full-scale play. I've written scenes, I've written, you know, smaller things, but like in a dramatized sense, mm-hmm. you know, where now you have, you know, designers designing clothes, designing lights, designing things around your words. Yeah. You know, that's a huge deal to even comprehend. Because I could write something today and then that night people are saying it on stage. Mm-hmm. And so we had a public reading back in May, I believe. And that's what that felt like. It felt like, you know, history was being captured, not because of me, but because of we were cataloging these stories that's never been told before. Yeah. And they're not taught. And, you know, and they're even now is a little more actively trying to be hidden because of what's going on in our you know, in our social system. Mm.
So what is the feeling that you get when now one thing is to put your thoughts to paper, you know, pen to paper, but now you're actually seeing being acted out in front of you? What is the mindset that goes through you when you have that? It's like, my thought is now, yeah, I'm visually seeing my thought.
Yeah. My first thought is, I didn't write it that way.
You're butchering it?
No, not even butchering it. And no, not even on the negative end of it, just in general. Like, that's not how I thought it. Yeah. Right? And so, never any criticism of like, because now I've gotten used to getting used to that. I've gotten used to getting used to that. Does that make sense? And so, but yeah, there's a lot of feelings. There's, I should have put a comma here to kind of help them in this sense, or I should have put a period here. And now I think the more seasoned that I get into writing, the more I think about tempo, commas, periods, exclamation points, when, you know, because you're trying to capture that voice in your head on paper, and that's very difficult because, you know, if you could just talk your thoughts out and being written, that'd be fantastic. But right. You have to sit down and just the gesture of your pen stopping might stop a thought, right? And so you want to either record it and then put it down, and then going back to seeing it acted out, you're like, oh no, the inflow, you know, where I want you to punctuate is here because this sets up this other thing. So there's a lot of things going on in my head when I hear people, you know, saying my words.
I'm a habitual run-on sentence writer.
Yeah, you would drive me crazy. And that's Yo, Jaime, siéntate. That's not how I wrote it, bro.
Exactly.
Slow down. He would nitpick any little thing, bro. This motherfucker right here, bro. Yeah.
But listen, I learned that lesson, a really hard lesson in my first acting class, where I was more focused on my scene partner, this young lady, that I wasn't doing the work, right? So I tried to cut corners. And I came in the next day, and the professor's like, all right, do this scene, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I changed a few words because I just thought that these are better and da-da-da. And my professor, Fred Zabalski, who I owe a lot to, embarrassed the shit out of me. He was like, yeah, that's a Pulitzer Prize winner. You don't get to change those words. Like, who the fuck is you? And I had an accent and everything, so I didn't really understand I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, the life experiences.
Right.
And so I thought I could do it better because I'm Sammy Publes, and it wasn't. I should have. So I got embarrassed in front of the class, and I never did that again. And since then, I had deep respect for every single word that's on the page is there for a reason.
So was that your humbling moment right there?
Oh, I've had a lot of those, but yeah, that was the first one in and theater. I think that was the first one. I learned a lot of lessons at that community college, man.
What's the humbling moment that sticks out to you the most?
Oof. You know, when I fell in love with improv, I could tell you that. It was like around that, like it was like my second year in the community college. Fred Sobalski was our teacher, you know, teaching me the basics. This older white guy who was brilliant and kind and really took his time with me and helped me, you know, taught me, you know, about Shakespeare and all these other things. But anyways, I was working in the box office, and the student that had been there a few years before had came back, and I thought I was like the funniest guy in my class. You know, community college, you're the class clown, you're killing, every joke is hitting, you're like, ah! And this dude came in, and man, he was like, all you do is, you know, poop and shit jokes. Like, you don't know anything else? In front of everybody. And everybody then turned on me. It was like, yeah, you basic ass funny dude. And then he took me aside. He was like, I didn't do that to embarrass you. I want you to expand your reference library. Reference library. And ever since then, man, that's my goal. And what that means is expand your life experiences.
I was going to ask you, what do you mean by reference library?
So, you know, in the world of improv, you want to be... You know, you want to be hip to all the Monty Python shit. You know, you want to be hip to all the improv-y shit that happens in the improv world, right? And I'm talking about improv because I did improv for a while. But I think in general in life, that's what you want to do. You want to expand your experiences so you have a wider range of experiences to speak from.
Right.
Another college professor told me it's not about knowing everything about everything, is knowing a little bit about everything, and then you can have any conversation with anybody in the world, right? But in order for you to do that, you have to stay inquisitive. It has to be born within you to want to, hey, what's that about? Mm-hmm. You know, even if you don't agree with it, you know, hey, let me check that out. You know, mm-hmm. And I actually did that during COVID. I would take a subject and, like, you know, YouTube the hell out of it for like a month. You know, yeah. Flat Earth. Why do they think like that? And I just watch videos and da-da-da, you know. So that's what that guy was telling me. Like, yo, the pooping jokes, yeah, that's great, but what else you got?
Right.
And so then I started watching movies. You know, I started watching comedians. And slowly, by the time I got to university, I was better versed in authors. I was reading like 2 or 3 plays a week. You know, so I started reading about Shakespeare, started memorizing Shakespeare. And so to this day, I still, you know, I can pull out a Shakespeare model like no problem because of that guy embarrassing me like that. That was definitely like a moment of like, I'm not the funniest guy here. I'm not the cleverest guy. Mm-hmm. You know, it really humbled me fast. And that's definitely a marker in my, you know, acting performance career.
What's your favorite Shakespeare monologue?
The one that I always say, even my 8-year-old now, she's starting to memorize it. Although I heard Judi Dench did one on the Norton show, which is fucking amazing. But the one is from the Prince of Morocco, from A Merchant of Venice, and he's talking to the Queen, and he says, "Mislike me not for my complexion, the shadowed livery of the burnished sun, to whom I am a neighbor and near bred. Bring me the fairest creature northward born, where Phoebus' fire scarce thaws the icicles, and let us make incisions for your love, to prove whose blood is reddest, his or mine. I tell thee, lady, I would not change this hue, except to steal your thoughts, my gentle queen." Right, that's a little shorter version of it. But once I got that under my belt,
time out.
Fuck! That was good, right? That was a fucking promo right there.
So that's probably the first time Shakespeare's been said on the show.
Hey, punch my card.
There you go, man. And I don't think it's gonna get said any better than that. That's a challenge to anybody that's about to come on the show.
I was fucking hip, dude.
Anybody wants to top that shit? Go ahead and dare.
I was fucking hypnotized right there. I was like, dang, I felt he was staring through my soul when he said that.
Well, Shakespeare is tough, and once you, not that I've mastered it, but once you get comfortable with it, it's a great tool. I think for actors, just for linguistic purposes, for, you know, even objectives in a scene. Like, sometimes you feel like you're saying nonsense, but if your objective is clear in that scene, you know, Waiting for Godot is kind of like that. It's a play that almost about nonsense, but it's all about what the actor wants from the other actor.
I remember being in high school and reading some Shakespeare before. To me, at that moment in time, I liked it, but it was hard to get into because that's not what you're into. You know, you're watching TV. There's a lot of stuff that you're digesting. So Shakespeare at that time did not appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, there's appreciation for it.
Yeah.
When you had to deal with this, and now you're basically reading this, are you enjoying it for the first time, or are you going like, this isn't for me? And when did you learn to truly appreciate it?
There's a couple things. No, it's fucking horrible to read.
Yeah.
It's when you don't know. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious by the son of York. You know what I mean? Like,
boring and it's
what is he
confusing.
talking about? Who is he talking about? Right? And so for me was, like I said, Fred was like, you need to start. Fred Sabalski, my acting teacher, my first college acting teacher, was like, you need to familiarize with this for the simple purpose that your tongue, you'll get exercise and you'll speak better, right? Because I had a really thicker accent, so he was like, I don't want you to just have them play these parts. You need to be able to play everything. And so I was like, all right, for that reason. And then you learn you learn that iambic pentameter, for instance, how you speaking in 10 sounds. Mislike me not for my complexion. And then you break that down as 10 sounds, right? So when you break that down, then you can do that to any sentence and make sense. Because I punctuate this word or this action or this verb. And then the second thing was I went to the Stratford Festival in Canada. And that just changed everything for me. To watch professionals do Shakespeare, and I forget what it might have been Merchant of Venice. And even classical work like the Don Quixote was another one there. And I saw Waiting for Godot there as well. Waiting for Godot is like a play about nonsense, if to the untrained ear, to the person that. But the reason why it sells out everywhere and people watch it is because you don't care about the words so much as you care about the intention. This actor wants something from that guy, and that's the interesting part to watch. How's he going to get that? Who are they waiting for? Why are they waiting for him? Uh-oh, who's coming? And the way that they're interchanging, they're saying nonsense words. They don't it's not like, hey man, I want this from you. It's like, the bell atop the thing, da-da-da-da. You're like, what? What the fuck does that mean? Right? But that's the gift, is how good this actor can get that from this guy, and then you watching it, get the satisfaction of like, oh, I get it. The light bulb went off, right? And for me, my light bulb went off in Stratford when I saw, professional actors acting and speaking the bard, speaking Shakespeare. You're like, it's not that difficult. Because I know what the objective was, right? Like, you're trying to impress this woman, tell her you're a badass, right? The monologue that, mislike me not for my complexion, that's all simple if I break it down to you. Don't dislike me because of my complexion. The shadowed livery of the burnished sun. Shadowed, livery, live of the burnished sun, the hot sun, to whom I am a neighbor and near bred, right? To where I'm close by, but also where I was born. So all those little things, you can figure it out. It's how you say them in the tempo with which you say them that will land a certain way with you, right? If I'm more aggressive, if I'm more gentle, then you can read who I'm talking to. If I'm, mislike me not for my complexion, the shadow livery of the burnished sun. You have to lean into what? Huh? So now I'm getting something more from you than just talking to you and telling you who I am. Mislike me not for my complexion. The shadowed livery of the burnished sun, to whom I am a neighbor and near. Then you're more braggadocious or, So yeah, it's all about playing with the words, and I early on I learned how to do that, and then I've had fun ever since. I love monologues and plays, and I love to see the audience go left, go right, see them cry, see them laugh. It's a skill that I've honed throughout the years.
Dude, when did all this start for you, bro? Because if you look at your resume, dude, all the shows and the movies you've done, man, like you fucking. Like I said, I wasn't bullshitting. Phenomenal fucking actor, bro. Me and my wife went to go watch one of your plays last year.
You did. Thank you for coming out.
Man, absolutely. Dude, he played this guy called El Tío. He was a drunk.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even drink, bro. And he was so convincing to when after the show, We waited for him by the bar so we can talk to him for a bit. The people that were watching the show were wanted to offer him drinks. And he's like, I don't drink. Like, the fuck? Like,
weren't you drunk in the show? Like, no.
He was so convincing, and he was,
Because the point is not to be drunk.
Yeah.
When you try to be drunk, then that's when it looks,
so
sloppy.
Yeah,
so,
you're trying to get it. I'm trying to hold it together.
Yeah, so it's like,
I was gonna say, I'm like, give me a little something from the Theo, but you kind of just did.
Yeah, it's just
You reminded me of all my Theos, bro.
Right. Continue.
that's it. So
It's about holding it together and not being like, continúa, compadre. Mira lo que that nobody,
Yeah, it's when you're beyond.
Yeah, we're talking 40 beers there, bro. We're talking nap time. But when you're trying to keep it together in a conversation,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So no, I was gonna say. So when did all that start for you? When did the whole, doing theater, acting, man? When did that? Was that always a dream for you?
I mean, not.
Because you were born in Cuba, correct?
Yeah. So I was born in Cuba, and I came to the United States when I was 2 weeks before my 11th birthday. Right?
Okay.
And my father was a political prisoner in Cuba. If you've seen Scarface, you've seen the big boat lift, the Mariel boat lift in 1980. Well, my pops jumped the gun and he tried to get out in October of 79. So he got caught. So then he went in and he got sentenced to 20 years under the communist system that's in Cuba under Fidel Castro and Raul Castro. And he was, the 1980 came and then my mom's whole, 80% of her family left, Cuba and came to the U.S. My dad's family stayed. They couldn't leave. They had trouble getting out. And so then my dad came out in 84 and then him and my mom rekindled their love because they had split up while he was locked up. And then we were able to come over here in 88. We were going to come out in 85, but Radio Jose Marti came out, which was basically like a station in Miami that was talking shit about Fidel. And they would broadcast these freedom kind of messages and shit like that. So Fidel was like, well, fuck it, no more flights then. And so what that did those 3 years was horrible because now the government knew that you were trying to get out.
Yeah.
They had kicked my dad out of work, my mom out of work. We were struggling, just hustling. And I think that's where I learned a lot of my perseverance, early on was to watching them figure it out for the kids. So you're saying, where did it all start? So we had always heard about the United States like the land of opportunity. You can do everything. We've been romanticizing about the U.S. for years. So when we got here, it was a whole complete different shit. I ended up in West Michigan, which is very Caucasian, very white. A lot of racist shit, a lot of systemic racism, a lot of in-your-face racism. And so early on, I had trouble. I was a super smart kid. And so they wanted to hold me back 2 grades or something, but they tested me, and I was at an 11th grade level, and I was supposed to be 6th grade level. And that's all due to the communist fucking regime, forcing you to read and math and all that other shit.
So you're way ahead of the game at that time.
Yeah, my language skills, I didn't know I speak not that I do now, but I didn't speak no English. But yeah, bro, I didn't know nothing. And so my dad fought this and that, and so they kept me. But then that also that made me a target because I was the only brown kid in this class, and and
this is still the 80s, right? Late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, 88. So, 89, 90, 91. And this is West Michigan. So years later, they got the Bosnian immigrants that came over. They had a whole wave of other immigrants, Haitian. So, but when we got there in 88, it was pearly white. It was pearly white. Yeah. It was 300 kids in the high school. It was me, my sister, my boy Sakar, Chaku, Daryl. And it was 5 of us,
Bro, that is insane because when my sophomore year happened, my parents transferred me to a different high school in a predominantly white neighborhood. And I remember this is late 90s because I graduated in 2000, I think. It's a long time ago. Anyhow,
you're a baby, man.
A little baby, right?
Your old ass.
But I remember the high school that I was in, Morton West, right in Riverside. There was I kid you not, I want to say 4, maybe 5 African-American kids. Yeah. And they all were friends with each other.
Sure.
So seeing them walk down the hall as a Latino, as a man of color, that I'm looking at it, I'm going that's fucking crazy. Yeah. There's a little few more Latinos, but it was predominantly white, a chunk of Asian, handful of Latinos, and literally 4 African Americans. And I could imagine in their eyes, it was fucking scary. You know, it's like they're walking around, they're friends for a reason because they're sticking to their own. Yeah. But I remember seeing that, and it just blew my mind because I came from a different high school where it was all Latino, all black, and blah 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 blah. So to us, I just didn't see those racial colors like that. You know, we were all just like one big unit. Yeah. But now going to this school where it was like very, very like, oh my God, there's their pack and that's their pack. So I can imagine you growing up in Michigan during that time. It's even worse.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we would go summers to Miami to kind of get our
Latino on.
Yeah. We recharge our batteries, get the Guayaberas going. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it was tough, and you know, but this is where the question comes in. I would spend a lot of time in school suspension, ISS, you know, because I would get in trouble a lot. And I got kicked out of like my last public school, and I ended up in alternative high school. By then, I was reading Alex Haley's like the autobiography of Malcolm X, another book called Celestine Prophecy. Like, I was like really starting to get socially aware on issues and like my place in this school and why I stuck out and why I was called. I don't even want to repeat the names, but why I was called the names that I was called. And so then I got kind of like militant, and I'm like, man, I don't need this school. I'm gonna do da. At this alternative school is where all the bad, quote unquote, bad kids ended up. But they were all the people that became my friends that were from like the city high schools, because I was in a suburban school, right? So they all ended up at this alternative school, and I met Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans, everything. Then from there, my life changed, right?
You felt more at home, I would imagine.
Yeah. And this little white lady named Jackie Friend. Very apropos for her name. I was getting sent to the office, like I was being walked to the office to being told to get off the campus. They didn't want me there no more. This one teacher said that I was Latin, something red-blooded or something. And I just really show her how red-blooded I was. You racist, but what the fuck? I went off. They're like, come on, you gotta go. If I don't get my, you know. And then Jackie heard the yelling, and she came out, and she was like, you know, Sharon, give him some time. Let me talk to him. And Jackie Frank came in, and she was like, come, let me talk to you. I've noticed, you know, you're a very smart student. You're funny. You're charismatic, da-da-da. I think you just need an outlet. And if I do this, if I bring you into my homeroom and you just cool for like 50 minutes, I'll give you the last 5 minutes and you can tell your jokes, tell stories, blah, blah, blah. And then Sharon was like, if this is the last time, da-da-da, we're going to kick you. I was like, yeah, whatever. And I didn't think I was going to survive. You know what I mean? I was just going to be who I was. But this teacher showed me, like, she stuck her neck out for me, and I felt like I owed her. And so that's where my acting bug started, because she basically designed an acting class around me and my friends. Because then I brought all my little hoodlum friends with me, too. Like, it's like, yo, we can stay out of trouble. Like, let's go do this thing. And she gave us, like, $100. You know, we went and got clothes at Goodwill. We wrote our own script. She let us borrow the school camera. You know, we didn't steal it. We gave it back. Like, cause we were all like street kids, you know. We were in the streets, and man, that lady showed so much love for us, and that's when my acting bug started. And then from there, she was like, "You're gonna go to theater school, and you're gonna da da da." And I'm like, "Whatever, I don't want to do none of that, bro." She filled out the paperwork for me and everything, and she was like, "You go in, you start in January." I was supposed to graduate in June. She was like, "You're ahead of all the classes. You got all your credits. Get out of here. You're only gonna get in trouble." So I started going to the community college that January, and I took my first acting class, and I haven't looked back since. Yeah.
What made you fall in love with acting? The classes.
I'll be honest with you. At first, it was the girls. It's always the girls.
it's always the girls.
Always the girls.
Yeah. No, but you know, I come from a long line of storytellers that I didn't even realize till I started like, you know, doing self-analysis and character breakdown and all that stuff, right? So you're like, oh, why am I like this? And then you go back and you look at your grandpa and you look at your grandma and your dad and your mom. You're like, oh, they were actors too. They just didn't have the outlet that I have, right? Mm-hmm. Which is also a crazy like juxtaposition, because when I told my dad that I was going to be an actor, he lost his mind. You know, he
didn't want you to be an actor.
No. He, thank God I listened, but. He was and God bless him, because he put food on the table and took care of us for many years. But But he wanted me to be a TV VCR repairman like him. He wanted me to take over his, and we know what happened to TVs and VCRs. Yeah. But years later, we worked together. I even as a young man, I helped him set up the business. Because like I said, I was the only one that spoke English in the family, so I had to translate. I remember doing little MS-DOS stuff for like the paperwork, your name and where do you live, and I would have to do the address and all that. So no, he didn't want me to be an actor because he didn't see the future in it. Even though we sold this idea of America being the land that you can do anything. When it came to his kids, we're like, no, we want you to be something safer, a lawyer, whatever.
It's always parents' decision for that, man.
Yeah.
I don't think any one parent always feels like, oh, go doing something crazy and wild that nobody in the family's ever done.
Right.
They always want to protect you and make you walk that safe path.
Yep.
But that's just not the way things work.
Nah, and I don't hold any whatever. Parents do as much as they do with what they have. Right. Yeah. My dad didn't know any better. My dad was institutionalized mentally, when he came out. Like, my dad still slept with a knife under the pillow kind of stuff, Like, to this day, in the middle of the night, I have to, used to not be able to, make noise or flush a toilet because you didn't want your dad to wake up and go nuts, you know what I'm saying? So to this day, I find myself sometimes sneaking up, wait a minute, I pay the bills around here.
The wife gets up and starts yelling at him and shit. Oh, fuck.
No, the wife, knowing my wife, she's like, make more noise. Come on, let's go. Work this shit out. But yeah, I mean, you grow up with that, and then so when I started doing my acting stuff and he started seeing it, that was a whole different thing. But I don't think my dad even got comfortable with it to maybe 5 years ago or something.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Just recently then?
Yeah. I mean, he just knew that I was just acting, but he didn't, because a lot of the stuff wasn't big stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, bro, you've been you shared the screen with Robert Dinero, Patrick Swayze. Yeah, dude, just legends, bro. And it was nothing to him.
Yeah. Whether you had AMC, for instance, like Boss.
Yeah.
Or whatever I did, if it wasn't in their purview, they didn't watch it.
Yeah.
And they watched Sao Gigante and all that other stuff, so it wasn't really my dad's a big movie watcher, so every once in a while he would get surprised.
Okay.
Ahí está mijo. Yeah. Like Dark Matter, he called me, the show that's on Apple TV. I have a little small, a 1-day thing on there. But he called me, he was like, oh, have you seen this new show? Da da da. And I'm on episode 8, I think. And he's episode 7. He was like, oh, this did it. Oye, esto está de pinga. You got to watch it. Da, da, da. I'm like, oh, yeah, what happens? Oh, a Debo, and he comes, and it's another guy. Oh, my God. I was like, oh, cool. And he was like, well, you know anything about it? I was like, yeah, I read the book, which I had because before audition, I read the book. I was like, I think that's what's going to happen is this and this. He was like, nah, always talking trash. You don't know what you're talking about. I was like, all right, we'll see. The next day, the episode comes out. He's flipping on the phone. Oh, yeah. Why did you tell me that was you?
Dude, I'm so glad.
That's always a great reaction.
I'm so glad you went that route. Because in the back of my mind, as you're telling that story, please don't ruin it for your dad. I wanted him to pop. When he's like, oh, hijo de su pinche madre.
I enjoy that now. I'm like, oh, lo viste. Coño, compadre, pero ¿por qué no me dijiste? Right? And he just always trips out. And same thing with my mom, man. I think a lot of the stuff that we do as actors, we do it 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. You're seeing it now, and I'm happy that you're happy for me. But understand emotionally, I already went through that.
Yeah, you're
2 years ago. Yeah. And so if you're lucky enough, you got 3 or 4 of those projects that keep popping up, and I've been not just lucky, because lucky kind of assumes that something came to me. I've worked and I'm proud of saying that I worked hard to accomplish every one of those things, right? I've gone on Greyhounds. I've gone on trains. I've come to Chicago. I've hitchhiked. You know what I'm saying? I've been homeless in the street because of this career. I've done it all. So I'm not shy from saying, I busted my ass to do the things that I did. Mm-hmm. But also in the scheme of things, this is what I signed up for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a blue collar actor, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to. I don't even have an Instagram for myself. Yeah. Because believe it or not, I'm kind of introverted a little bit. Mm. So I don't like attention on me. I like attention on the project. You know. But me personally, my professor, Dr. Washington, used to say, act like you've been there before. Act like you've been there before. So you don't have to walk into every room act like you've been there before. So I'm not gonna flip out. Yo, check out my project. Da 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 da. No, it's a little something. Hey, check this out if you guys like it. Nah, in the scheme of things, I'm already working on 2 or 3 projects down already, right? So I'm just gonna keep feeding you stuff anyways. You know, and hopefully I'll be blessed with many more years to be in this business to do the same. But yeah, it's hard work. It's not. Luck only happens when you're not prepared. Like luck can't happen without you being prepared. There's a lot of doors that are going to be open, but if you're not willing to walk through them, and when you walk through them, have a monologue, you know, have some Shakespeare ready.
Yeah.
Then
that one teacher that you said that straightened you out, they put you in the path of taking acting classes.
Yes, sir.
Have you talked to her as recently? Has she seen this everything you're doing now?
Man, she was I think the second, besides my wife, I think she was the second person I emailed my play when I finished it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because she turned me on to poetry as well.
Because that was how long ago again?
Bro, I graduated. What you going? I'm 147
I'm
years
just
old.
asking, dog.
I like how when he said that, he turned and looked at me because, like, I could see the wheels going. Like, he said 2000 earlier.
Yeah. In 2000, I was 42. No, I was born in 77, so, you know, I graduated in 95, high school.
So you still keep in touch with it to this day?
Yeah,
then?
1000%.
Yeah.
You know?
77? So you're only, like, what, 6 years older than us, man?
Yeah, 47. I'm still young. Yeah.
So then what does she say now, seeing you in all these projects, writing your own play, just the way you're progressing, bro? Like, what, you know?
You know, she
Because if you never would have met her, if she never would have came in your life, you probably would have never done this whole acting
I
thing.
give this woman props every chance I get, every public, anything that I speak about, I talk about her. I got a little teary-eyed talking about it, thinking about it. Yeah, I owe her everything, bro. I owe her, this lady, everything. You know, even when I would come back, so I went to Grand Rapids Community College, and then Western Michigan University was where I got my bachelor's from, which was about 45 minutes from Grand Rapids. Like the second summer, I'm struggling. You know, I was a father at that point. I had my first daughter, and so I was working. I was getting arrested and shit because, you know, child support. They want you to. I'm like, but I'm taking my daughter here. Yeah, that's not part of the equation. You need X amount, you know. But I paid for this. It doesn't matter, you know. And so I'm struggling and shit and getting arrested, going to jail, da da da. And her husband Murray was a painter. Rest in peace. Man, that dude just brought me under his wing and was like, all right, now you're going to come paint with me the rest of the summer. I had no fucking business painting anything, bro. I had no idea what I was doing. And the man would take me out kayaking, like, you know, Cuban kid, like fucking kayaking in the middle of Grand Rapids with this older white hippie who loved Cuban jazz and, like, you know, yeah, she's everything, bro. She's a lot. She means a lot to me. And without her, I definitely would not be, you know. There's a lot of women in my life that I owe a lot to a lot of women, starting with my mother, obviously, but then Jackie and then my wife and things like that. So, yeah, usually I get a good woman that straightens me out when my life is getting a little
It always seems to be the way that it goes, man.
Yeah,
It's
man.
always a woman that says, we need to fix this man.
The other side of the story is probably a woman that broke up to me. It's because of you, the cannibal head.
That's what the drunk character came from, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, my first time I tried to play drunk, I would got demolished. What are
first
you
time-
doing? You look like a clown. I was like, you know, you're trying to stumble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So what's the key to playing drunk?
Not to play drunk. You know, the key to playing drunk is not to play drunk, right? When you're drunk, you're trying, you know, your very best to not let people know that you're drunk. So, what's your next question? You know, you're trying to straighten yourself out and shit.
Right.
So there's actors that talk about doing method stuff. I can't imagine you actually went out to drink to like do the research. But did you go out and just hang out at a bar and look at people, or what is it that you do?
No, I mean, I don't want to act like I'm a saint or something, you know. I got my drunk on early on, you know. And so you draw on those too. You know, you draw on your experiences of watching other people. But always when people can see something, oh, he's drunk, or you hear something like in the audience like that, you're like, oh, I messed up. You're not supposed to see it, right? Like if I adjust right now, you know, you're not supposed to see that I'm a little tipsy.
Yeah.
You know, And if they see it, then you're not doing the right kind of thing. But no, I draw on the past. You know, unfortunately, that's why I don't drink. Is I've seen too many family members abusing alcohol, and so to me, I just don't see the upside anymore. You know, but I'm weird like that. You know, I'm a Cuban that doesn't eat pork, and you know, I'm pescatarian. I don't eat beef, and I don't eat a bunch of shit. So I'm an anomaly already. So to me, the drinking was just like, yeah, no, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. You know, I had some bad moments when I was younger with drinking and fighting and violence and shit like that. But that didn't make me stop. It wasn't until way, you know, like 30, 31 that I was like, I'm good.
Was there a particular person that you emulated during that time? Like I say it because, for example, I'm putting myself in your shoes. Like, how would I have acted in that particular role, right? And my cousin and I, we always kind of like crack jokes about like growing up in the family that we did. All of our uncles, you know, were heavy drinkers, and we have like impersonations of some of them when it came to that point when they were already hitting that stride.
Yes,
and
sir.
like. You know, we had the singers that were drunk singers. We had like the educated ones that wanted to tell, mira, la cosa es así. And they were like,
con la juventud.
so we always knew that they always came out there. And as soon as alcohol came
For
in,
sure.
performers and educated motherfuckers.
Yes,
But
yes.
when they were sober, they were neither one of them.
No. And that's the thing. Alcohol is the anxiety breaker, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all have that anxiety of people looking at me. Is there a moco on my nose? Da, da, da. And, you know, I have one of my very good friends. He stopped drinking a little bit later than I did. But watching him and then talking about his experience also helped me a ton too. Because I started to understand, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is why I drink. Or a lot of times, being me, you know, you walk into a room and you feel awkward, like, especially growing up in West, you know what I'm saying? A lot of white people. So you like, you want to be the clown, or you want to have that kind of like that drive to like make people laugh or make people comfortable. And as I got older, I realized sometimes when you're quiet, that's the best move. That's the most comfortable you can be, is observe and listen, versus wanting to tell, hey, look at me, or let me tell you a story, or da 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 da. And so I think alcohol kind of aided in that process, because now I had nothing to rely on. It was just my wits. And I'm already a good conversationalist. I'm a present person, you know. So I'm an active listener. I do deep tissue listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I was already there. But the alcohol kind of took that. Oh, I don't need this to. I'm still the same guy, you know. And my good buddy kind of said that. He was like, I'm trying to get back to that guy that I was when I was drinking, because now that I'm not, I'm like this more introverted.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to be extrovert. I want to talk to people. But that's kind of why alcohol does it. It kills those inhibitions, right? And so your decision making process is a lot looser. It's less stringent. So for me, you know, if I would, at a point I was abusing substances, right? If I start drinking, then that leads to smoking, which then leads to want to use, to then want to lead, you know.
It's always the pathway. To
Yeah.
something different,
And so the alcohol is usually the trigger, because that's where your inhibition, your decision making process comes from, right?
How do you navigate the industry? Because, you know, I've been to events, and pretty much 95% of the industry is out there having some sort of, you know, alcohol in their, you know, their hand, or worse.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that? Like, you've now, like Danny said, you've shared a screen with a lot of really famous people. So I could imagine you've been in a lot of famous parties. So how is it the peer pressure there? I know you probably have your, you know, your will, and you're like, I'm not gonna do that, but you know that, but they don't.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times it makes you not go to places like that. But I don't want to say
yourself from that vibe. I get it.
Yeah, I'm an old man, bro. I'd rather be at home with the wifey and the kid, and you know. No, but even before that, you know, we talk about principles, morals, and values in my family. And I had an idea of what my principles, morals, and values were before. Now I'm more solidified in it. But even then, I knew that I was watching people do wrong stuff, you know. And I didn't come from that. I didn't come from making those obvious mistakes. We made other mistakes, you know. But those mistakes were easy to. And this before I was using. That was the crazy part. Like when I was seeing all this stuff, I wasn't using. It was until years later that I was in a tough position that I had to, make a living, that I started selling it and then also using it, right? And so then you're like, this dude's backwards. It was like, yeah, I know. It's just say with the smoking shit too. Like I started smoking cigarettes late in my 20s and quit when I was 40, right? I never smoked one in my teenage years and none of that shit. It was later on in my years. And so I'm an anomaly in that sense where I do shit backwards, but no, it was easy because I didn't want to be part of that other shit. Because I know that leads to that and that leads to that. And I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But no, there's been situations where, you get caught somewhere, people walk in the bathroom while you're taking a piss, and like, it was like, oh, no. Like, yo, chill out. Like, I'm good, And yeah, I don't want to say like a bunch of famous people, but there was some things that I did with people that are well known that there was a lot of that going on. And, I have a hazy memory, so I don't remember names or faces, so I don't know who was there. But there were situations where things came out and you just, no, it just ain't for me.
In our profession with pro wrestling, I remember one time we were at a show and the company we were working for brought in some relatively big names. And, they finished their match or whatnot, and they were backstage and they're kind of in party mode. They're already finished what they're doing, and they offered me and my other partner marijuana, and I don't smoke cigarettes, let alone anything else, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And my buddy was like drug free. He's like, no, we're good. And they gave us the stink eye. They're like, we're no longer part of the cool boys, the cool guys. So they took off and they were just like, whatever. And I remember just thinking like, wow. Like we were cool a few minutes ago because we were just shooting the shit with them, and now that we wouldn't smoke with them, now we're assholes. So
Well, and maybe it wasn't marijuana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you might have lucked out.
Yeah.
They might have put some other shit in it. Who knows? But
who knows? Yeah.
In parties like that, I think that's why I'm not bitter or jealous of. I think I should be here. My career, I should be there. I'm happy where I'm at. Obviously, you want to keep working. That's all I want. But I think if I would have gotten that big, humongous check, early on, I would have fucked it off. I'm glad I didn't, because I'd probably be dead somewhere with the access to the drugs and the lifestyle.
Yeah. You always hear about all these horrible stories that happen to actors when, like you said, money at a young age fucks a lot of people over. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy. It's easy, bro. You even see it in a small scale, like on sets, the way actors get treated, right? You get a coat for this, you get a coat for that. Come here, sit down. It's too hot. It's too cold. Like you get pampered a lot. And so imagine if you're doing big movies like that and you're being treated like that all the time. You don't do nothing for yourself. Your connection to reality can be a little warped. And so, in order for you to connect again, you have to go to these places that are dark and they get darker. Because that's the thing about cocaine. Cocaine's funny it's great for the first 5 seconds. And then you immediately start to feel like shit. Like, why the fuck did I do that? You know what I'm saying?
Wasted money on this shit. I could have gotten tacos.
Yeah. And that's how it was for me. And, almost dying a couple times, kind of makes you want to be like, yo, what the fuck? What am I doing? I've had 2 or 3 times where I'm like, I know I'm here for a purpose. And it's been those close to death kind of moments. And cocaine definitely was one of those. It's been 15 years since I touched it, and I don't miss it or not. But sometimes smells, things that you smell around you, like, oh yeah, I used to cut it with that. oh yeah, I used to use it with that. But that's just
Can take the boy out the hood.
Yeah, man, it's just street shit.
The hood out the boy.
And not that I grew up hustling my life or nothing like that, but I was not a dummy. If I came out of college with a degree, not being able to work because of the child support stuff, I couldn't even teach because as soon as they do a background check, what
pops up.
Yeah, and it would say child neglect. And that was the code for non-payment of child support. Right?
Oh wow!
And so I got fired from 2 different jobs where the kids loved me. I was a great teacher, all this other stuff. My old high school was going to pay for me to go back and get my teaching degree. But like I said, those are signs that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing, right? Yeah. And so the paperwork came back. It was like, wait, what is this? And I explained to them. They knew me. They knew I was trustworthy. They're like, but yeah, we can't, da-da-da. And so it's just every moment that you can go left but goes right.
Yeah.
You know. And
So let me ask you this. So we're talking about like you talked about like getting into like these big moments and not being part of that. I want to pivot to like your earlier you mentioned about like your teacher teaching you to like live in the moment and not get like those eyes where you go, oh, you know, you want to belong.
yeah, act like you've been there before.
Exactly. So what was it when you first landed your first big roles? Because Danny mentioned you were in big movies, you know, acted with certain people, and
Yeah.
the one that pops to mind right now is obviously Batman, Superman. I'm a big superhero guy.
Yeah.
But coming from the upbringing that you have, having certain roles in the beginning, you know, you're appreciative. All of a sudden, these big roles start coming in. What's that mindset? Because we're talked about getting that big check and having all that stuff go away.
Yeah.
But now you're appreciative of this because you worked your way up there.
Yeah.
What was your mindset getting into these big sets?
You know, I think it's the improv training, and the way I connect that to my acting is you're always saying yes and then yes and. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll audition for that. Yeah, absolutely. And then when you get, yeah, I'll audition that and I'm gonna do da da da, and then you know, then you get there, you're like, oh no, this is cool. Everybody's just like me. Everybody's, you know, you're just accepting things. You're not trying to create moments. You're just accepting in a lot of ways existing, right? But when you're in those spaces, you've already, I had already done my homework. It wasn't like that's the first role I had ever done. I had been in front of cameras before. And I just kind of knew to listen, like to shut the fuck up and listen, you know? And back then I had no idea about, you know, is a 2-shot, is a single, like none of that stuff. So I just looked where I was told and I did what I was told. But I had a certain instinct that I knew not to do certain things.
Yeah,
right?
by the time you got there, you already knew the game.
A little bit. You know, I don't want to pretend like I knew a bunch of shit, but I knew a little bit. And again, because professors and teachers like Jackie and Fred Sobalski and Von Washington, who always instilled in you to chill out. You know what I'm saying? Just calm down. Take a deep breath, right? Yeah, this is humongous. Oh my God, look at the lights. Okay, so you got to look here, da-da-da. You process all this shit later. Right now, it's almost like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right? You know your lines? That's the first thing. I know my lines. Cool. Who you telling it? I'm telling to that guy. Okay, cool. That's it. Do that. I don't even know where the camera was, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I don't. It's like the one that I did with Patrick Swayze was the same thing. Like the first day there, I've watched this guy Dirty Dancing. My mother's going crazy.
What movie were you with Patrick Swayze?
Was it The Beast?
The Beast, yeah.
The Beast,
AMC was like a cop thing.
Yeah, dude, he got whooped on by Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, how was
Smacked me in my
that?
nuts.
How was that?
The first time I wasn't wearing a cup, so he felt very bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was not wearing a cup. I didn't know all that was gonna happen. Like I'm telling you, bro. I just show up and I'm like, what point? Anthony Fleming is in that scene too. And the scene that we have
really?
together.
Okay.
Yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips, Anthony Fleming, myself, and Patrick Swayze.
So what's it like working with Patrick Swayze? What was it that day?
Of all these celebrities that have passed, and then everybody writes, oh, blah, blah, blah. That's the only one that I cried about, like actually cried about, because that man was really a sweetheart of a person.
Was he?
Yeah, man. I think I spent 2 or 3 days on set with him. And what a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you could tell he was sick.
Well, he was already sick at that time?
Yeah, because so I think the way it happened was they started like in January or something, and they had to stop in March when he got really sick. And then they came back in the fall.
Okay.
And I think that's when I came in to the show.
Okay.
So yeah, he was wearing several layers of clothes. He had lost a lot of weight. But man, what a beautiful human. Mm-hmm. He had directed the second Dirty Dancing, which was like Havana Dreams or something like that. And so since I was Cuban, we just chopped it up about that for a long time, bro. Like not even forced. Like that man really enjoyed conversation, rapport back and forth. He was telling me like some tea on on a couple of like, you know, Hollywood actors that actually ended up coming true. Like he was like, this guy is gonna burn out. This guy's a dick, and he does that. And it happened. And I was like, oh shit, Patrick told me this was going to happen. Yeah, and his wife was on set. She had these 2 beautiful Labradors, and she was the sweetest lady. I ended up breaking his Porsche, like the seat. He was using one of his cars in the show.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to drive into this place, and I had never been in a Porsche before, bro. I didn't know that shit was automatic. I come from pulling shit from under your seat.
Yeah.
I ripped that whole plastic panel out, bro. Had it in my hand, show it to him, and he was like, the coolest motherfucker, bro. He was like, sorry, I got like 20 of these.
I got them in every color they made them.
Yeah. And he completely put me at ease. And just a nice dude, bro. Just a nice dude. Really.
So then that first shot, action, boom, nut shot, no cup, just.
Yeah. No cup. He thought that we had rehearsed it like this. He thought I was a stunt person.
Oh, okay.
I was like, no, I'm the actor. I'm the guy you're gonna be speaking.
Those were real nuts. You just hit.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go.
They weren't stunt nuts.
Weren't stunt nuts.
Touch them. They're real.
Actually, don't touch them right now. They kind of hurt. They kind of hurt. No diddy.
It's like, wrong movie. That was not what is it, Tung Wong Fu or something?
Tung Wong Fu, yeah.
Wrong movie, guy.
Even I was working with Robert Dinero.
Another legend kind of situation where you find like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be here. I'm like, are you sure it's me? One of those things that you don't know what you're auditioning for. We were talking about some actors who turn down auditions before they get there and all of that.
Yeah.
I was not that guy. Okay. I was not that guy. I was like, what are we auditioning for? Everything. Give me everything. And this is one of those things that I just auditioned, put in the can. They're like, hey, you got the job. Cool. Where do I show up? What time? Be professional, be on time, be kind to everybody. And then I walked in, and there was my man.
What movie was this?
Stone.
Yeah. Okay.
With, what's my man from the Italian Job? Robert Norton.
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it was like half a day, and it was glorious. It was amazing, being in his presence. Now, like everything, he's not there to like joke with you or be friends or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
He does a scene, he gets out. I don't think I even speak in the scene. I'm just talking on the phone.
Right.
And he was supposed to not like me, so it's not like he was gonna be all
right.
So we didn't become best friends or anything, but it was definitely one of those that you felt the presence, like, okay, I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is all right.
That's bucket list shit right there for any actor,
Yeah. That's the man.
Regardless of what you did on set with him, that's bucket list shit right there, man. That's awesome.
I'm curious about Cleveland Abduction. Now you're in Cleveland Abduction, obviously based on the true story of the real Cleveland Abduction.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how was it going into that? Just obviously knowing the real story.
So, I have a kind of like a weird connection to this story, right?
Okay.
I'm a member of a fraternity, Latino fraternity, and one of my fraternity brothers, that was his pops, Castro, the guy.
Oh, that was his dad?
Oh, wow.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, bro. So when that was happening, there was like, it was super meta, you know what I'm saying? Because his son kind of looked like him. It's from Ohio. It was crazy. So when I got the job, I was working as a product specialist. All right, so a little quick background story. You ever guys go to the car shows and you have the people out there that's kind of selling the car but not really selling you the car, they're telling you about the cars?
Yeah.
Well, that's called a product specialist. So I was doing that for, GM all around the nation, auto shows, that kind of thing. When I got the audition for this, they're like, oh, this is like a multi-thing, like you need to do this. I think I was in Chicago or something. I had to fly to Cleveland, or I was in Cleveland, I had to fly to Chicago, something like that. I had to fly somewhere to audition for it. And again, one of those things where you're like, yeah, I'm never going to get this. It's weird that I know somebody that's related to this. Anyways, bye-bye, And I was making enough money where like a day trip was not a problem. It was like $200 or something. Like, yeah, jump on the plane, go, da-da-da-da. And then I went to the next city. And the next city was a 10-day show in San Francisco. And, I have my wife fly out. We have friends there. We're hanging out. And then I get a call. It's like, hey, you need to be in Cleveland for 10 days. The next day, I'm like, I got this other thing. We're supposed to be like in New York or something. They're like, nope, this is it. And I sat in the Cleveland hotel for like 8 days, eating great hotel. I probably shot like 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I sat there the whole time. And it was a super dark situation. Like, it was still fresh. It was maybe like 6, 8, 9 months since that happened.
It was like within the first year or some shit, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And then my guy, I was also on the email list with all the brothers talking about it, right? And how people,
all your frat brothers, right?
Yeah, all my fraternity brothers were talking about it, and how dude was getting harassed, and basically they were trying to violate him for something his father had done. And he had to change his name and all this other stuff. So yeah, that movie was a trip in that sense. And I can't really watch the whole thing even now. I've seen my scenes because I've had people cut me like reels and stuff. But the whole thing is very difficult to watch. Yeah.
Dude, his scene. Where did you really throw the kid? He threw like a 6-year-old across
All
the
right,
fucking
room. Everybody thinks I'm like that. I just chucked this kid across the room. Okay.
It looked like
movie magic, dude. Movie magic.
Dude, we're gonna cut that scene and throw it on social media for this episode.
Oh man, I think so. It was an older kid that looked younger. First of all.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't like a baby.
Okay.
Dwarf.
Little person. Little person, dog.
Little person. But no, it wasn't that. But then they had a mattress and all this stuff. But you could tell where they speed up the frame to make it look like I'm really throwing them.
Yeah.
But no, I just like tossed him, and he landed right like 2 feet away from me.
Okay. On a mattress.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had a whole mattress.
Because it looked like he just fucking launched him across the room. I was like, oh shit.
Oh my god! Every time when I used to do talks and stuff like that, I would do my acting reel before that. And that would get like fucking looks at me like this motherfucker. It's acting. It's movie magic. That's not a real. I didn't really toss this kid.
Yeah.
So how old was the kid?
I think in the movie he's supposed to be like 6 or something, but he was really like 9 or 10 or something. He was older.
3 years old.
Hey, listen. When we're talking about development years, that makes a difference. 6 is not the same as a 10-year-old. You know what I mean?
He was older.
Yeah, he was older. Oh, you thought I was going to say like 27? But yeah, he was 32.
32 little person, bro. 32 little person.
Smoking a square between shots and shit.
You ready to do this, Sammy?
Hey, let's go, kid.
Sammy, you ready?
Shaving in the bathroom like
Some Wizard of Oz.
Like a little man.
my man from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the little baby comes out with a cigar and shit. Nah.
I thought that's where that story was going. He was just 6. He was 7. No, he was 7 in real life. He
Little
was
son of a
6
bitch was tatted up, head to toe.
He had a jailhouse tat on his neck, bro.
No, he done sometimes.
You guys remember that Will Ferrell movie where he punches that baby? That's literally what I have in my mind right now. It's like,
No, if you watch it, it looks violent as shit.
It does, bro. It
But
does.
they sped up the frames at however they were shooting. You can see where they like.
Is it true that the mom or the girl tried suing the production or some shit like that because of the fucking?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We weren't well received as far as like, people didn't want the story to be made. It was a lot of attention to Cleveland. It was a tough time for the city, man.
Oh yeah, bro.
Already, Cleveland's a town that's been affected by a lot of things over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Just to know the true backstory behind it, dude. It's fucking disturbing, and seeing like a reenactment of it, bro. It's like,
close to the time that makes a whole lot of. I mean, if this was like 20 years down the line, who knows? Things might have been easy, but the fact that it was right after that, fresh, it's rough, man.
Yep. I was there in December, and I think this had happened that summer or something. The girl had come out, where she ran out of the house and went to the neighbors and all that.
Yeah.
And this is December, bro. It's like 6 months turnaround.
What are your fraternity brothers? What was that conversation about? Like you mentioned how close you are to that. How did they receive you being part of that movie?
Very supportive, man. I've had fraternity brothers from across the nation, come out to shows. They've seen me and stuff. We had a brother, rest in peace, just passed away recently. He's a brother from Saginaw, where I was telling you there was a lot of Ledesmas up there. And I
Shout out to the rest of my long lost cousins.
Todos los primos de la ciudad de los vientos. Un abrazo bien fuerte. That's where Che comes from. But no, I hadn't spoken to this brother in like 3 years, and he randomly, like a 2-page email about my work. you know, just randomly. And I hadn't seen this kid since I was like 22, 23 years old. So, you know, I get a lot of that. And even Sal Velasco that was on set, he's a fraternity brother of mine as well. And so throughout the years, you know, and we've had other fraternity brothers that have done movies as well. But it's always been super positive. And this thing was the same thing. Like, they knew what was up, you know what I'm saying? They knew it's just a role and acting.
Yeah.
They probably want to know more tea, if anything. It was like, did you
Right.
see anything?
Yeah.
Or the pictures? Or that kind of thing. But no, I you know, brothers come out to my plays if I'm doing something in Chicago from Michigan, or Michigan from Chicago, New York. Like, I've had a great support system since I was young. That was something that really helped me in college to kind of settle in. Was the fraternity.
It was crazy that I remember we talked right after you got the role for Power, and you had said how it was really slow for you for a long time, where you were like kind of like doubting shit now, you know, and all of a sudden you get the role for Shay in Power Book Force that ends up being fucking, you know, the power force of Che and the fucking cartel, you know. So talk to us.
We'll see the third season, man. You know, again, it's one of the things that I don't say no to auditions.
What I'm saying, so talk to us about the auditioning for Che and getting the job.
Yeah, so it was the Mexican whatever. You know, I have my head shaved, so I can pass for anybody. Kind of like Victor, you know, Cuban playing Mexican.
Yeah.
And so when I got that, I was like, okay. What's funny is that's like audition number 4 or 5 for the show. I had auditioned for like 3 other roles.
Did you really? Okay.
Yep. And my mentality was always the same. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one.
I'm curious, what are the other roles that you auditioned for?
You've known them. You've seen them. I wasn't right for them. You know, that's all that
You
matters.
may have told me. I think I forgot.
It doesn't matter. I wasn't right.
Right. No.
No, and the actors that did it were great, man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, lo que está para ti nadie te lo quita.
Yeah, right.
What's for you, nobody's going to
take it away from you. Yeah.
And that wasn't for me. And so Che was for me. When I got it, it was just 1 episode. It was just like, it wasn't no nothing. And I said, yeah, we'll do it. And it was like, and not that you get tired, but you get to a certain point where you're auditioning, you know, thankfully a lot. And when you do it for the same show and you don't get it, you just like, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do in this shot, in this take.
Yeah.
Because I did the other 3 and nothing happened. So what do I got to lose, right? So for this one, it's something that's helped me a lot, and I think it helped me get the job, was just quiet it down and just straight to camera. As I think I still got it on my phone. As simple as possible. I think the monologue the scene was the orejita. I don't know if you remember.
Yep, I do remember that.
Talking about taking Manny's sister back to Mexico and cut her throat. And it wasn't like, orejita. It was like, I didn't think I even had an accent.
It was very calm and very like that chilling calm, like fuck. Yeah, I remember that scene.
And so years later, Robert Townsend directs me and he says, and I came back in the 3rd season, I was a little hype. And he reminded me, he was like, you're a lion. You don't need to do all of this. Calm down. I was like, oh shit, that's right. Because you're away from it for a while.
Robert Townsend's fucking awesome, dude. Oh my God.
That man looked into my soul.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look back and go, that's fucking Meteor, man.
You know, I think, and I think you've heard this from other people too. Like, I think when they see theater credits, they talk to you differently, right? And like, this guy is capable of going different places that perhaps other actors that don't have the training might be able to. So we played a lot. Like, you know, this one's faster. This one, take your time. No, fuck that. Don't walk to them. Let them walk to you. You know, and so to other actors might be like, oh, Sammy's fucking up. He's making them do it 10, 15 times. To me, it's like, give me more. Right? Because I'm built for this shit.
Yeah.
What we want to do? You want to cry? We cry. You want to, you know, what do you want to do?
Right.
I like that, because anybody else probably would have, like, their attitude towards the process might have changed. Like, oh, I'm screwing up, because I like how you said it. a lot of times I relate what the actors tell us to the pro wrestling world. Like, that's where we come from.
True.
And when we do our promos, we're cutting this idea. There's like we're doing a monologue, so to speak, to like get the people into the building, so to speak, right? Yeah. And I'm watching some of the my coworkers like cut this promo, and it irritates the shit out of me when they're like, "I'm a one and done kind of guy."
Yeah.
And then they walk away, and there's so many flaws in what they just said, and I go, "You're really just gonna put that out there? Like, this is how you're gonna present yourself? Like, I don't care if it takes me 5 fucking times. At the end of the day, my promo is gonna fucking be better than all of yours. Yeah. But it took me 5 times to get it. That doesn't mean that I fucked up. It means that I'm still like edging it and making it better. For them to go, I'm a one and done. I hit a home run on my first try. I'm like, really? You're a badass like that? Damn!
I think that's
why are you here and not in the big time?
Yeah. Well, I think that's where COVID has helped some actors and hurt others, right? Because before COVID, we had to come into an office. Mm-hmm. We audition. If you fucked up, they might give you a chance to do it again. But if you fucked up, most of the time you just fucked up. We got to see 10 other people, so keep it moving.
Right.
With COVID, you get to do that shit at home, right? And if you've been paying attention and you did your homework and you've been studying your craft, then sometimes you can self-criticize without bashing yourself into inactivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! What am I looking at there? Nope, I gotta keep my eyes here. Okay, then that person comes in, just a slight look. Okay, cool. Let me tell you about such and such, and I'll come in and such and such. And so you can work. I can direct myself better. Not better, I shouldn't say that. Differently than I can with a casting agent. They want to see something out of me, right? What I may do at home may be something that perhaps the producer wasn't expecting, but here I am. You know what I'm saying? And so there's an advantage and disadvantage to that, but I think that's helped me with my acting, with my audition. And, never to be braggadocious or always humble, humilde siempre. But it's done pretty good for my career, after COVID. It's not like I haven't worked. So obviously something that I'm doing is working.
Right.
And even then, there's still room for improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I've lost some jobs because of what I put out versus what an agent would have put out. But that's what happens as COVID kind of affected the business, is you're doing a lot of self-directing, and a lot of people didn't have that training, didn't know that. It was difficult for them to learn the iMovie stuff, the cutting, the microphone, the screen, the lighting. Early on, I was like, this is the new wave. Fucking Amazon. Lights, whatever. And, I give a lot of credit to my wife, too, because she's always asking, like, what's the new thing? What's the next thing? Mm. She's a coach, executive coach, and many things, but a planner, a strategic planner, all these things. She's always thinking like that. What's next, right? If AI is what's coming, what do you got to do? Do you got to start getting into the audio stuff? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. So what do we need to do for that? So we work as a team that way. And so early on, we bought equipment. We bought microphones. Then I'm trying to move into the audio stuff, the narrating and all that.
Yeah.
So now we set up a closet. Same thing. Just like what's the next thing to keep growing? And so you always got to be looking at how you're going to improve. And for me, it was watching other people. Okay, this is what I like. Okay, this is what I want to do. Right? Not mimicking ever. Don't ever mimic anybody else. But is this what's being done? Okay, then I'm going to put my spin on this, but this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And interesting story about that, like when those slim years when I wasn't working, if you look at my resume, it was like one project or something. I was still me. I was still doing what I was doing. I wasn't like a slouch or, whatever. I was still busting my ass and auditioning everything I could, but I just wasn't landing shit. Mm-hmm. And if you look back during that time, there was a certain style of acting. And I'm a very expressive person. And so the style of acting that was getting booked was very, you know what I'm talking about? Because I don't want to move my face. Mm-hmm. And I'll just look at you this way, and I'll just do slightly like this. It's like with that Miami, whatever cop show. Wow! Like they were just like, do the one thing. And that was it. And that's what everybody was booking. I remember Detroit 187. I went up for that thing like 6-7 times, man. And I just, looking back, it was just like I was too much.
Yeah.
If I would have just been more still. So I think what's happened is I've learned to be more still, but also the industry has kind of changed on the what they want to see. Mm-hmm. We want to see realism, right? And so with Che, it's kind of been like that. It's been like a quiet realism. It's like I'm the boss, So I don't have to be loud. I don't have to be expressive. But when you cross me, then you know what time it is.
Yeah.
Until then, I could talk to you like I could snap at any point. That's the danger of it.
Yeah.
If I'm just like, that's one no Johnny. I'm not scaring you. But if like, Jaime, would you like a fucking... Whoa, hold on a second, right? And so as long as that's motivated and rooted in truth, then it's going to be great. Even you know, Al Pacino's got Scarface or Heat, right? They're rooted in truth. We might see like, I don't know, that's not how Cuban talks. But at no moment do you see him take a moment off, right? He's committed to whatever crazy shit is that he does in Scarface, right? It's not the Cuban guy. It's some whatever he made up. But the commitment to that choice, that's what an actor does. You commit to that choice. And no matter what anybody breaks down and fourth wall and all that, you're still in that choice, right?
We're still to this day getting Batman freaking voice jokes because of the way he, dude committed to the raspy voice.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. He committed to that, and it was exactly who he was.
And Al Pacino has said years later now that in Heat, the reason why he was yelling so much, he was trying to let the audience know that this guy had a coke problem.
Interesting. I don't think I've actually ever heard that.
Yeah, he said that in an interview. And the thing, I guess he said there was a scene that they showed him using, but they decided not to use that. And so then it kind of looks like he's just yelling out of nowhere, right? Now, I see it as something's going on with this guy. Why is he like this?
Yeah.
Right? If I have my life experience as being, been in that world or used or whatever it may be, oh my God, this dude's sniffing something.
So, it's funny because now I'm thinking about that movie, and Al Pacino always has a lot of scenes in movies where he elevates his voice. But you're right. In that movie, he is probably himself to like the 10th degree there. Because, what is it? The Devil's Advocate is one of my favorite movies of his. And he delivers certain lines in there where he elevates his voice like, I'm an absentee landlord, whatever. And you're right. In that other movie, he's always on top.
Yeah. It's tempo too. Like now that I'm learning how to write and all that, it's tempo. As an actor, you're trying to keep a tempo in the scene. I mean, especially if you're a big star like that, right? Like they want to talk us, they want to keep a certain energy in that, right? Because they're involved and they know what's coming next. And if we cut this one like this, the other one's going to be affected. So they're thinking on other levels that we as the audience member are not. But all those things go into play, especially for the big guys, man. Like Robert De Niro is dissecting that 10 months, before it even you see a second of it. He's rehearsed this. He's talked about it. I don't know if you've seen Al Pacino's documentary on Richard III. It's on HBO. But it breaks down his process of how he does Shakespeare or how he did Shakespeare. Bro, it's a freaking lesson. It's like you just sit down, shut up, and watch. It's like, okay, cool. And I think at a certain point, the craft gets easier. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when you get comfortable knowing where to go, what places to go, then you're like, oh, I can go there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, cool, let's go.
How long do you think it took for you to get comfortable?
I'm not.
You're still not comfortable?
No, bro. I was like number 52 on the call sheet, right? Like I'm not going to give any spoilers, but people die, right? They're much lower numbers than I am, right? So every week, every episode, I'm like, there's the episode where, hey, babe, look at the episode. This is the episode I died. And I didn't. And I kept, I'm secure, insecure. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm secure in what I can do and bring to the table and offer the director and give him choices.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're secure in me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So every time I'm going to be trying to sell myself of, I can do whatever you want me to do. Watch.
Mm-hmm. So there's a question to both of you guys. It's kind of interesting that you said that, like, you're like, oh, there's so many people getting killed. When you guys sign up for a show like this, you know there's going to be people dying. Mm-hmm. You know that the job that you got hired for in season 1, per se, it may not be, your role may not be around come season 2 or 3, whatever, because people die in the show all the freaking time. Mm-hmm. So when you're on set and you're trying to deliver the best, lines possible, you're the best scene, you're just trying to hit a home run. Is it in the back of your mind going like, man, if I hit a home run right now, my role is then going to be guaranteed like further down the road? Is that something that's in the back of your head?
No.
No, if it is, you're no longer present.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're no longer in the moment. And I think a lot of this stuff is about being in the moment. You have to believe these circumstances to the nth degree. Because then it just looks like you're playing a Mexican drug lord. Yeah. And I'm not playing a Mexican drug lord, right? I'm playing a man who has problems, a man who's going through something, right? There's a reason he's upset. You might think he's a drug dealer, but to him, he's an impresario, right? This is my business. That's one part of it, sure, but I have to control men. I have to manage this. So, yeah, it's as soon as you're out of that, then you're no longer in the scene, and now you're not deep tissue listening. You're not listening with every sense in your body.
You're not being natural, basically.
Yeah. Even I know it sounds weird, man, because you might do this shit 10 times. It's like, are you being natural every time? Yeah, I really was. I'm listening every time. And then, I mean, especially with a theater background, because every night is different. I can say the same speech 100 times and give it to you each and every night differently. And if you have a scene partner, they're giving you different offerings every night, right? They're making a question instead of exclamation. Like, you know, they might be having a bad night, so you might need to pick them up. Or they might be crushing it. It's your time to stand out the way and just be a good scene partner. You never go into a scene to make it about you. And that's where a lot of people make mistakes. You're there to serve the story, right? If I'm in a scene with Joseph Sikora, I'm not looking to see, like, watch me outact Joseph. It's like, no, what do you need, brother? What are we doing here?
Yeah, he's the star.
Well, it's not just about the star, because he would tell you the same shit. Fuck me. It's not about me. It's about the story, right? So he'll say, this is what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, cool.
It's just like
intimidating or, you know, whatever.
Just like in wrestling, when you're, you're in there with your dance partner, quote unquote scene partner in the ring, you guys are both working together, tell a story and make magic in the ring. Same thing with acting. You know, you got your, your scene partner, your quote unquote dance partner in the ring. You guys are working together to make magic, to make everyone believe that the story you guys are telling is real. You know, that's why I always relate acting with wrestling. Yeah. Always.
It's interesting because a lot of the people that we've had on here, that's kind of how my mind works, and there's so many similarities. It's insane.
Yeah.
Danny asked you about like feeling comfortable and whatnot. Can you give us an example of something that you literally felt like a fish out of water in?
Man, I can honestly tell you, and I'm not even bullshitting, every scene that I've ever been in, I feel a fish out of water. Even with all my training and all my confidence. And people, oh, you look so comfortable. Yeah, inside I'm bugging the fuck out. I'm bugging out. Ah! Where do I look? Okay, did I say too much? Did I not say enough? Am I looking? Hello, how you doing? Did I say hello to everybody? What's their name? I forgot. But once the camera goes on, that's it. I know my lines. I know what I'm trying to do. I know how I'm trying to get there. That's my comfort zone. Like, don't fuck with me there. That's my play area. You know. When the camera's cut, whatever, it's like, oh, was that good? Oh, shit. Oh, here they come. Oh, my God. Like the script supervisor, she's the sweetest lady. I think Annie or Amy was her name. Every time she would come to me, I would feel like shit because I know I fucked up a word, right? And her job is to make sure that I say every word right so they can match it to the other angle, right? I never got upset at her. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand the business. That's her responsibility. To make sure right? Anybody was, oh, here comes this fucking lady again. Right? Yeah. I don't know, I forgot to say how, right? Not me, bro. I was like, Amy, I want to get it right. What did I fuck up? How? You got to say how at the beginning because then your right arm comes here and your left arm, cool, got it. Let's go back in it. I do it again, da-da-da. And I was always looking to, like, please her as my one audience member. If she stays seated, I'm like, I crushed it.
We're good. We're good.
It's like, fuck the director. It's all about Amy right there.
No, Mr. Thomas said, thank you very much. Amy, yeah, man. And in theater, it's much different because in theater, you get to play every night, and you can go back and forth. And it's a different beast. But film and television, man, every little thing. I've learned so much being on the show, and again, being insecure, but also being secure in my insecurity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm secure in my insecurities. Like, it's not gonna surprise me, because I've done the work. I didn't get lucky yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been putting in the work. I've read. I'm well read. I know my history. So I know what I'm coming into. Even at times, I might watch like the director. It might be an unknown director. It's like, what did they shoot? So I go and look at their stuff. Like, oh, okay, cool. They like kind of this cinematographer as well, director of photography. Shout out to Jody too, who was our season 2 director of photography. I had worked with him before, years earlier in a small film. And so I knew him. So, but I didn't know his style, right? So, but we had a rapport, and I remember his name. Yo, Jody, you remember me? I was like, yeah, man, we shot, I forget the name, Positively. And so, yeah, being knowledgeable in the business in that sense really helps you to understand other people's job. So therefore, the insecurities are not about how I'm fucking up. It's like, how can I be part of the team? How can I make this thing better, right? Yeah.
What was your obviously nothing on 3 yet. What was your favorite scene to shoot in season 2?
Man, that Orejita to Orejita thing was really good. I felt really good about it, because it was the first time me and Manny worked one-on-one with each other, and that brother was a jewel of a man. So kind to me, helping me with the Spanish Mexican stuff, but also because he just lends like a real sense of authenticity to the work, and he was very complimentary about me, but I was always like, forget that, man, you're doing great, and he really was like Manny's good, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the scene with me and him is pretty memorable. And then obviously the first time that I met Joseph in that scene, because you watch these people growing up, from other stuff, and you're like, fuck, it's my time now. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Marlene Forte, Abuela.
Yeah.
So I knew she comes from New York, from a place called the Labyrinth. It's a theater group out there. One of their writers, Stephen Adley Gurgis, or Gurgis, depending on who says it. Fantastic writer. I'm a big fan of him, right? She had come up with him, and they had worked together. So then I knew a little bit about her as I did my research before I got, and I was like, I studied you in college. And to be in the scene with her was, a gift, like a gift. And she's Cuban at the same time, right? And so there's that Cuban connection as well. But she was kind, man, and nice and giving, and and same thing with Joseph. Like I said, Joseph, that first scene was like, okay, this guy is a real gentleman. Like, he's not, get out of the way, let me do this. Yeah. And then consequently, we kept doing that throughout, and he's a great dance partner, bro.
Oh yeah, bro.
He's just like, hey, what do you want to do here? Like, he's a big, because he comes from theater too. He's like, what's your instinct telling you? You want to walk around here? I was like, yeah, man, I feel like do it, fuck it. And even if we didn't do it in the first, second, or third act or take, he's like, you want to walk around here? I feel like you kind of want, yeah, bro, I want to fucking. He's like, yeah, get in my face, bro. And so to have a partner like that, man, it's just. I got lucky with everybody. Adrienne too was the same way. She's just a powerhouse. Just a lot of like unreal moments that you've seen these people, and you're like, you're so beautiful on screen, and now I'm sharing this, Constantine as well, last year.
Merkovic?
Merkovic, yeah. He was another immigrant story like myself too, right? He came from the Soviet bloc. I came from Cuba. It might as well have been the Soviet bloc. And so we got to chop up a lot about, again, I'm well versed in my history, right? So we were able to talk about history, the Soviet bloc and communism in Cuba and how it affected where he came from. And so, yeah, just dope moments like that.
That's awesome, brother. As we begin to finish off here, bro, you are promote again, man. Your play, what you got coming up, man. Where's it at? The dates. Tell everyone.
I believe I got news today that we might sold out for opening night. But it's a 4-week run, so you'll have plenty of time to get your tickets. Urban Theater Chicago, UTC.org. The play is called Chicago Lores, Lores. A lore is a tale passed down, by word of mouth. What this play is about, man, it's about forgotten history. It's about some of our living heroes that are still living, walking amongst us here in Chicago and all across the nation, really, that fought. And I was going to say civil rights, but it was more about human rights, right? Because civil rights, I was just talking to one of the guys that I wrote about. He was the Minister of Minister of Education for the Black Panther Party of Illinois, Billy Che Brooks. And I was telling him, you guys were civil rights revolutionaries. He was like, I hate that fucking term. He was like, we were just revolutionaries. And I was like, well, explain that to me. He was like, because civil rights were like rights given to you.
Yeah.
We're talking about being human, like not being fucking beat up by the police, having access to school, clean water, food, all these things. Civil rights are like the voting rights, right? They can take that and put that away. Somehow you give this to us. But we were fighting for human rights. And so that's what this play is about, man. It's about remembering our ancestors, remember our living legends, these men and women, particularly the women who don't get a lot of shine in these stories, because back then they weren't writing stories about the women like they should have. And a lot of times, they're the ones that were hide the weapons for us or bail us out of jail or just cook, take care of our children while we're out doing whatever. And the young Lordettes were not like that. They were taking care of kids, but they're also, doing protests and getting like baby carriages and blocking intersections and things like that. So this is an attempt, a homage, if you will, to not only Cha-Cha, but also Che and the Rainbow Coalition that was formed here in Chicago back in 69, where it was black, brown, and white people working together for human rights. And so this play attempts to be a humble page in that history. My mission is to sow the seed of creativity and let you guys, that you come see it, kind of let that grow into a tree of knowledge, however you guys see fit, right? But it's something that should be taught in schools. Like this is American history that they've tried to hide and suppress. And, hopefully by this oral presentation that you can also pass it on to others like our ancestors did, and these stories that we know now today wouldn't be here if we weren't talking to each other. Yeah. So hopefully this play talks to you and you can talk back to it.
There you go, man. You guys gotta go check out this play.
Please.
What's the dates for it?
Opens 9/27, September 27th, and it runs for 4 weeks. Again, the Urban Theater, Chicago, UTC.org. Directed by the wonderful Miranda Gonzalez, starring Ivan Vega. And the whole team really at Urban Theater, Tony as well, Tony Bruno, who's been excellent. I can't thank him enough, man. If they, we talked about my teacher and all that. This is another one of those moments where somebody gave me an opportunity to do something and believed in me. And so I'm forever thankful for that opportunity, and I don't want to waste it. I want to make sure that I'm highlighting these living heroes, while at the same time helping to teach others. They can do it too. Like if you come see the show, you're like, yeah, this shit, cool. You write it. Write something else. Yeah. You saw what a shitty job I did. Now go do a better job. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about me. It's about the history that we have to maintain. Because then we think we're just a bunch of gangbangers and fucking drug users. And it's like, no, man, we come from kings and queens. Like our story doesn't start with slavery. It doesn't start with, whatever fucking bullshit history they want to teach us. Yeah. We come from kings and queens. Yes. And so we need to remind our youth, ourselves, that sometimes we don't end up.
The body of work that you've put together is pretty awesome.
Thank you, sir.
And now you're getting into this moment where you're about to release this play that is going to be very socially conscious. It's going to teach people. What do you want your legacy to be when you're done?
I was asked something similar to that, and I'll answer that, and then I'll come back to that. They say, how do you want to die? Somebody asked me one time, how do I want to die? I said, I want to die doing what I love to do, and that's being on stage. It'll be creepy for the audience. For sure. To be or not.
I think it'll be better if you would have gotten a nut shot. Like, damn, Swayze killed him on stage with a dick shot.
Yeah, man. man. Live the life you love and love the life you live. When you know better, you do better. Right? To know that you know what you know and to know that you do not know what you do not know, that is true knowledge. These are all like principles that keep me driving every day, right? Keep me inquisitive. Knowing that I don't know everything, and I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with my my lack of information because I know where to go get some.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like I don't know. And so a lot of us are in the same boat. You know, the only difference is I've made a choice to kind of pursue certain things and others pursue other things.
Yeah.
But it's no different than anybody else listening to this podcast right now saying, you know, I could never do this or I couldn't. It's never too late for any of that shit, man. You're 45, 50, whatever the hell you want to do. This is a country with all of its flaws and all of its fucked up shit. I would rather live here than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and I've lived other places, right? And the fact that I can make mistakes and I can criticize the government and I can do this and I can tell my story, I think I would only be able to do that here. I know that in Cuba, I didn't see that, right? And so to have that liberty to dream and to create, that's just my legacy. Like my company is Mixed Roots Collective, and that's why I don't really have like a personal page for my stuff because I want to do my stuff under the umbrella of my company. You know, it's not about Sammy Publes. Although obviously I'm the actor up there and I'm the writer and all that shit, but it's about a body of work. And if you look at our page, we've done anything from art installations to doing plays, you know, a bunch of stuff that is all art related. And that's been my only goal since I was a kid. I just want to make artistic shit, you know. I don't want to go to an office. I don't want to punch to me, it's just, I don't want to do that. And I've done that. I've worked every job. Factories, delivering pizzas. Like I've had 50,000 jobs. This is what I love to do. This is what I want to continue to do. So my legacy is never to like win an Oscar or go the EGOT route or my work will speak for itself. If I get recognition for that, thank you very much. But once I get the Oscar, I'm not going to go sit home and be like, well, I got the Oscar, I'm done. No, it's like, what's next? And I might do some shit that the budget will be, you know, $3,000. And I just came from $1 million movie. Well, why? I don't know, because I found the project interesting. I find the character interesting, right? I'm here for the long haul. I don't even plan for like what happens tomorrow when you have XYZ. I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that money, I'm going to invest in it, I'm going to buy some property, I'm going to buy some land. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I can't wait to get that money so I can get a Bentley or I can do none of that shit motivates me. I don't like any of that shit. You see, I don't have any gold. I don't rock any of that. You know, I'm a simple dude, man. I have chickens. You know, I love to fish, spend time with my family. Like, that's it. And then the great thing about me is I get to go and do a cool job, like act in front of the camera, where everybody's like, oh, my God, then you must go back to your mansion and all this other shit. It's like, no, just go back to my regular middle class kind of home, tend to my chickens, take to my dogs, go fish, and that's it. And then show up the next day and kill it and do the best that I can and then do the next project. Because that's what life is about. It's a long journey, brother. It's a long journey. I don't think like that. Because then if I do, then that's it. And you hit that and you're done.
Yeah.
And my guy always told me, don't have a plan B. If you have a plan B, you're gonna use it.
Yeah.
So my plan A is always, if I'm not doing something that's motivating my artistic work, then I shouldn't be doing it, right? I don't mind taking, painting classes or crocheting classes or, I don't know, underwater basket weaving, whatever the hell, right? If it's going to add to
That
my
sounds
role.
pretty fucking interesting.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, right?
Right.
But if that's going to add to my acting for a role, for this, for that, for the other, let's go. Let's go. It's all about storytelling. You know,
I'll tell you, brother, you really are inspiring, bro. You really are, man.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Since the first day I met you, bro. You know.
Thank you for approaching me, man. And for others that are listening too, people will approach you kind of weird sometimes on set. I never say no to anybody, but I always am guarding how much information I share based on what your approach is. Right? There's some people that are really, I know what I'm doing, but you give me this other extra part. It's like, well, nah, I ain't got nothing, right? To know that you know what you know and to know that you do not know what you do not know, right? To understanding that you don't know certain things, the most humbling thing you could do. When you approached me that day was just humbleness. Like, I want to keep doing this. How do I do that? Can you help me from A through Z? our first conversation was about acting classes, acting studio.
Yep.
You know, right? Because I didn't tell you, yo, go get followers or go whatever. Without the foundation, you don't have all the other things that have come after that, right? Now you know where to look in the camera. Now you know how to speak. You know about tempo. You know, all these things, beats within the scene that you didn't know that before.
Right.
That foundation is needed even if you want to be a big time star or if you want to just do community plays, because the storytelling part of it never changes. It's always about serving the story, being honest, and doing some real deep tissue listening, you know? And so that's what I appreciate about you. And I'm super excited to see, you know, the success that you're achieving. And I know there's bigger things for you guys too.
I
you
appreciate
too, Jaime.
that.
Thank you.
Hey, Javier.
Oh, what the fuck is it?
It's a J, bro. It's a J.
Is it Jay?
Yeah, now you got to change the whole thing.
Yeah, now you got to change the whole fucking thing.
Let's go back to the intro. Hey, man, I am Jaime.
And I'm Jaime.
No, bro. I start calling it from now on. Hey, man. Pinche Jaime. Fuck. No, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming out today, bro. Like, we really appreciate that, man. Before we head up out of here, I mean, any last things you want to say?
No, man. You know, I've been listening to you guys, and it's always the same thing at the end, man. Just I hope my story, my mistakes, inspires not only Javier to change his name to Jaime. No, but like I said, to know that anything's possible, bro. Don't stop. You know, if you don't know it, go find out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Man, well, we appreciate you coming along, brother.
My pleasure, brother.
You want to hit us one more monologue before we head up out of here? No, I don't put you on the spot.
Okay,
Actually,
well.
hang on. I got one.
What's it?
Instead of some Shakespeare, give us your favorite Al Pacino quote.
Oh, favorite Al Pacino quote.
You put him on the spot with that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
I did.
You know, one scene, it's actually an acting teacher. I think it's Godfather 2 when he's in Cuba and he's talking to Hyman Roth. And Hyman Roth says to him, I didn't ask who gave the order. That line's always stuck with me because he was talking about when you're in the business and you buy into it, you don't question the little shit, right? The homeboy had to go, right? He was running his mouth. Dude got shot through the eyeball. And Hyman Roth says, I knew what I signed up for, and I didn't ask who gave the order. That's what needed to be done. You know, I look at my business in a lot of ways that way. Do we need an audition for what? As long as it doesn't cross my, you know, my personal moral values, yeah, let's get it. What's needed? This is needed. I can do that. I can do Shakespeare. I can do Mexican. I can do Colombian. I can do Russian. You know, yeah, I can do whatever you want me to do, because I've been trained to do that, and so the quote is always that to me is I didn't ask who gave the order, and that means everything to me. That means buckle down and get shit done. However that needs to be done, just get it done. You need an audition in 3 hours? All right, let's go figure it out. I go in the hotel closet, you know, I record there, you know, whatever's needed, you know, but you got to get it done because that's the business you're in. So
Buckle down and get it done, y'all. That's how we do it, man. Big thanks again to Sammy Publes for coming and hanging out with us tonight on this Friday night, man. We appreciate you again for coming out. We want to give a special thanks again to our sponsors, the Law Office of Christopher Hoff and the Taco Villa in Villa Park. Sammy, I know you don't drink, brother, but this is the end of the
coffee right there.
This is
man.
the end of the podcast.
My old man coffee.
The old man coffee, bro, right there. This is the part of the podcast where we sign off with a toast saying salud cabrones, man. So when you guys are ready, 1, 2, 3. Salud cabrones.